All right, there's the card we're going to make today. And I didn't take out my heat tool, so I'll have to run to the other side of the room, but that's okay. But I'm going to show you how to do this. And I know, Betty Ann, you've been so excited about this class. All right, so there's what we're going to do. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm using Forever Blossoms. And my sentiment came from Life is Better with Friends Like You. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to start with my sentiment and get that straight. Actually, no, I'm not, because I'm going to, never mind, I'm changing my mind because that'll give this a little bit of time to dry. Oh, thanks, Marty. All right, so I chose a piece that's 4 by 5 1/4, and all the measurements and everything will be on the blog after this. And the reason I did that, you don't need it this big, but I didn't want a chance cutting it like at 3 inches and then having to fudge it. So what you want to do is with your memento, you're going to ink it up. Oops, I don't want to drop this. I'm trying to turn it around. You're going to ink up your image, and I need a piece of paper underneath. And naturally I'm out, so give me a minute to find a scrap piece here just to kind of stick underneath, just because if it goes off I don't want it on my mat. All right, and I'm going to stamp this down here like so. All right, and I pushed a little harder than normal because this, I've used it to die cut and I didn't know if it would affect it or not. And then I'm going to do another one at the top. All right, so I'm just going to turn it at an angle, and let's see. All right, I may have to just wipe this off when I'm done and stamp the other piece up there like so. And it could have come down a little bit, but that's all right. Now I'm going to take my towel and wipe this off just in case there's any ink down here. All right, now that I've got that stamped, it's time to do some coloring. And I'm going to take a block, it doesn't matter which one, and I'm going to use my craft ink pad, and I'm going to put craft ink all over it like so. To do this, you need a blender pen, and you need to designate a blender pen, and I use one that's almost empty, and you use it for nothing else but this craft ink, because once you put this ink on here, it ruins the, what do you call it, the tip. All right, and I'm going to color this in like so, and I did forget my my marker. I need my Misty Moonlight marker, because once you do this, and I just did the outside and then filled it in, once you do this you lose all those petals, the stamen, I don't know what you call them, pistils, whatever they are. So I'm just going to color this in all the way around. This is a great way to color your darker cardstock. I mean, we all have it, and it's like, how can I color on it? I know that they've called this the whitewash technique to an extent. I don't know if it truly is. I don't remember. I think they watered it down, and I'm not watering it down, because as you'll see, the blue will come through. Hey, Renee. Hey, Michelle. Which is, you know, kind of nice. So you're getting a lighter color. I debated about doing a different color on here today, but changed my mind and thought I'll go with the blue. And then I just kind of follow my petals all the way around. And then if you want to add color, I'll show you how to do that at the very end when I do the leaves. See how they're just kind of disappearing? So I went back in with my marker and added some more, or added them back in. All right. I'm going to do this, and I am going to have to find a scrap of paper because I'm going to need to clean this off after I do the green. Okay. But I think this would be pretty on a dark pink like Mary Merlot, because the petals would come out pink. So, you know, it's a way to get some color on there. You can emboss it and color over it and all. I don't know how the blends would do over top of this. I don't think it would work out, because usually it's they sink down. You need a craft ink so it sits on top of the paper. That's a difference between a craft ink and a dye ink. Dye ink soaks into the paper, a craft ink sits on top. And that's why it takes it a while to dry. So, all right, like so. I'm getting close to the end here. And I just color the petals. And I try to color the petals individually so that way you see the actual petal versus coloring the whole thing. Hey Darlene, hey Trudy. If you color the whole thing over top, you kind of lose the shape of the petal. And I didn't want to do that. So I just kind of outline it and then fill it in. All right, now, let's see, there's one there. So you still get the shape of the petal. Oh, this is a different flower up here. All right, on top of it. Sometimes it helps to have the stamp set to look at. I know when I did my first one, that's what I was doing, is looking at the stamp set. All right, where's that petal? All right, so there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my leaves. And to do my leaves, I'm going to add a little bit more. No, I don't need any more. I'm going to use Just Jade. And I'm going to put, hey Barbara, hey Darlene, a tiny, tiny drop of Just Jade re-inker on there. All right. And then I'm going to mix this around so that I get, I hope you can see that. All right. And now I'm going to go through, and I just did the leaves. I didn't do the stems just because it was easier not to. So now I'm going to color those, and I hope you can see this. I think the lighting is okay. It took me a while. I had them up there and I didn't have it up there real good, and one of them fell down before I went live. I went, oh, this might not be a good idea, but I think I got it. And if you want your leaves darker, just add more re-inker, pull in your colors. The only thing you have to do is be careful around your petals on your flowers. All right, so there's that. All right, one more. All right, I'm going to move this out of the way. Clean this real quick over here. I have scrap paper over here. And if you don't clean it, you'll get green. I've got it pretty well clean though. I may have to clean it again when we're done. Now, before I do the next step, I need to heat this. So I'm going to run across the room where my heat tool is, because I forgot to pull out my other one and put it here. And I'm going to heat set this real quick. also grabbed my markers. Because this is craft ink, it takes a while to dry. So if you use the heat tool, it does dry. So now using my marker, and I'm using the writing end, I guess that's what you call it, but that's what I'm using. I'm going to go in and I'm just going to kind of add some pieces in here. I don't know, again, I don't know if they're pistils or stamens or whatever, so I'm going to add those back in like so. And then because they had a little tip to them on the stamp, I'm going to go ahead and add it in. So see, isn't it cute? I just love it. So I'm going to add the rest of these in here, and you can kind of see them, but I wanted them to show up better, so that's the reason why I'm adding them in with a marker. And then I'm going to make sure I add those little balls on the end just for some interest. And then I'm going to do the same thing. The leaves, you can see them somewhat, but I wanted them to be seen better. So I'm going to take and add the veins on the leaves. So it's the little things like this that you can add and take your card up a level. All right. So, spend a little bit of time for these little extra touches and really wow your friends with your cards. And then I did use, or I am going to use, retired ribbon. And I'm going to trace those so that it just gives them a little dimension. Just because I wanted to have ribbon across it, and I have the ones from the last catalog that match this color, so I figured I'm going to use it so I can use it up. All right. So check your ribbon, add some ribbon. I didn't add embellishments, but you actually could. That one looked kind of funky, looked more like a scribble than a dot. And then I've got this up here that's peeking in. So there's the flowers all done. Thanks, Marty. And I'm gonna, oops, wrong end, do the same thing with the leaves just to give it some interest. So use your craft white. That's what we used to call it years ago. Now it comes, I actually have a vanilla, very vanilla one, because we used to be able to buy them that way. And now it just comes uninked. And I just use the same one I've had for a while because it still works, and I just buy the re-inker and re-ink it. All right. And every once in a while, you might have to go and scribble to kind of clean off some of the white on here. All right, I think I've got them all done. All right. Now I'm going to take my snips and I'm going to trim around it, and this is how I got the shape. So that's the reason why I didn't want it too small to stamp on, and I did find it easier to cut off this piece and set it aside, because then I can really turn my paper. All right, and I'm just following around. I'm leaving a little bit of a border, and I'm not going down in